Hi everyone, I am here today with another book review for you. Today I am reviewing The Sight of You by Holly Miller. I received a free digital copy of this book from the publishers via NetGalley, and I gave this book 5 stars. And if you think I might be looking extra rough today, it's because this book has had me crying my eyes out for half the day. This is the end result of reading this book. So if you don't like a book to ruin you, you don't need to watch any further, because this book will ruin you. And if it doesn't ruin someone, you must have a heart made of stone, quite frankly. So first of all, this is a romance novel, but it's definitely a romance novel with a difference, because it's certainly not a nice, fluffy read. The tagline for this book on NetGalley calls it the most heartbreaking romance of the year. I would agree with that. This book broke me into pieces. So yeah, don't pick this up if you want something light and fluffy. But if you want something that's going to get all the tears out that you need to get out, then go for this book. So this book follows 2 main characters, Joel and Callie. You get their chapters in alternating viewpoints, and throughout the book this happens even when they're in totally different stages of their lives. So you follow them both throughout. Callie is a pretty normal woman, and I quite identified with her in the beginning of the book because she's actually the same age as me at the beginning of the book, which is 34. And I'm not used to stumbling across books very often that the character's the same age as me. I suppose it's something that's starting to happen more that I'm mid-30s, but definitely late 20s. It was always like some sort of struggle to try and find something that I could identify with. So I was hooked very quickly, especially since she's a dog lover. She's got a gorgeous dog. And so yeah, I was straight away hooked, like, yes, I am your friend. Meanwhile, Joel is a couple of years older. I think he's 36 at the beginning of the book. And this book spans many years. You get a good part, like I think the first part of the book is pretty much the space of literally a couple of months, and then later on in the book you span years, like you just catch up with the characters every few years. And I really liked how this worked. So Joel has a problem in that sometimes, not all the time, sometimes he'll have a dream about someone he loves, and it could be a good dream. It could be telling him that they're going to, I don't know, for an example that definitely isn't in the book, they're going to win the lottery. But then it could be something terrible too, like they're going to die in a car crash. And he has learned that things will always come true. There's never not been a time when a dream hasn't come true unless he has intervened. So in some of the more serious cases, he's found ways of stopping people from getting into a car, for example, and then they don't have the car crash. So he's able to kind of affect how things will go when he jumps in those situations. But those situations overall are few and far between. He, for the most part, has just sort of boring visions in his dreams as much as anything, like, oh, you're going to have egg sandwiches today. So it's not something that should bother him quite to the extent it does, but because of the occasional seriousness of them, it's led to him no longer living his life in the way he should. He's no longer working. He was a vet. He quit. He just goes to this cafe and sits down and has coffee and a cake. And this is where he meets Callie and makes friends with her dog, and their story develops from there. I'm not going to tell you anything more about the plot than that, because there isn't an awful lot of plot. It's very character driven. So if you don't end up liking these characters, you're going to be in trouble, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with them. But it's such an interesting idea. And I just loved the direction that this story went in. I mean, in some ways I did. This book ruined me beyond anything, and I do wish things had gone differently. I really do. And part of me really thinks that the author is nothing short of sadistic, because why would you put your readers through that heartache? And indeed, ruined them to the extent that you did. And it's made me actually have quite a hatred for the author. I mean, it's a deep admiration of a hatred, because to invoke these sorts of feelings in a book is just outstanding writing. But yeah, she basically ripped my heart out, gave it a little twist, shoved it back in, pulled it back out, set it on fire, stamped all over the ashes, and then chucked those somewhere as well. That is what I feel she's done to me. Like, she has ruined me. And part of me really wants to do all those things back to her heart, because I can't remember the last time a book made me feel this horrible. This book just... Whew. And from what I've noticed on Goodreads, this is the first book in a series. I don't think I can continue on with this series, because I can't live with that level of heartbreak in multiple books. I don't think I could take it. So while I probably will read the second book in this series whenever that becomes a thing, if it ruins me like this one did, I don't know what I'll do. No one can cope with that much heartache. I feel for Joel. I wouldn't want to be with him. Who'd want to be with someone that can tell you, nope, you can't do that? Or you'd be mid-doing something, he might run up to you and just stop you doing something because you might chop your finger off or something. Like, you live every second of your life just questioning everything, which is what he does. And there's so much more to this as well. There's so many family dynamics, friendship dynamics. It's just such a fascinating character study and experiment into the human mind without actually being an experiment. So I highly recommend this book. Sadly, I wish I didn't, because I'm basically highly recommending you all to go and cry your eyes out for several hours straight. I mean, even if you're someone who doesn't really cry much at books, if ever. That used to be me ages ago. It definitely isn't any longer. I'm now a massive book crier. Even if you're someone who barely cries, the bits that I cried at throughout may not get you. But if you survive that ending without crying, I'm impressed, and I'd like to hear about it down in the comments. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe by clicking the image of me if you want to see more book views and other bookish content from me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!